Hey, sorry, I just got out muted. So again, I will start. My name is Ifeoluwa, but then most of my guys call me Skodo-Lee, and I will be taking you on a brief introductory session on creating augmented reality experiences using SparkAR. And yeah, so I'll just share my screen now with you guys. Let me do that now. Okay. All right. So my presentation begins. So, brief introduction, like I've said, my name is Ife. I have a BSc in architecture, and I'm currently doing a master's degree in cultural and media studies at the University of Ìbàdàn. I'm a 3D environment artist, and I also intern as an XR developer at immersion 3D. So most times my works they revolve around like innovation, like immersion, things that take the idea of the city into consideration, things that are very and so I'm quite inspired by things around me actually and the city and the my everyday experience, and I try to just bring those things into the works that I do. So yeah. So to the beef of it, I don't want to assume that everyone knows what augmented reality is. Probably most of us do, but for the benefit of those who actually don't know what augmented reality is. So augmented reality is a type of immersive experience whereby digital objects are placed in the real world. Now, this is different from an experience like virtual reality, whereby you put on like your VR headset and you're transported into a digital world, right? But for augmented reality, you're bringing the digital objects into real world, and most times they're actually experienced with things like as simple as smartphones. There are other things like smart glasses also that makes of augmented reality, but most time makes of smartphones. That's like the basic thing, and a very very basic example of augmented reality are um, things like Instagram or Snapchat filters or TikTok filters. Those are augmented reality experiences because these things happen, these effects, right? This like bunny shaped, these things that pop up with your face, they're actually things that happen in real time, and they track your face, they track your motion and things of that sort, and they happen in real time, and the digital objects are overlaid onto yourself, onto your body. So what is SparkAR? So SparkAR is a software developed by Meta, formerly Facebook, for creating augmented reality experiences for mobile devices. So, due to SparkAR being created by Meta, it's quite that you actually have a large platform. So, I think Zuckerberg said like about 3.5 million users across Facebook and Instagram. So, you have that wide pool of people to actually share your experience with, which is actually a very big opportunity. You understand? So, these are things I found online. So this was an AR experience I did for a friend for a furniture work. Um, so basically a furniture piece. Yes, this was an environmental AR experience I also created using SparkAR. Yeah, I was playing with how to map bottles and like using like things for like bottles and things of that sort. How to create animations for things of that for experience like that. How do you create a use like for brand experience? Like how do you use their products to actually also create AR experiences? Right. So basically, like I said, most times I work revolve around putting cultural elements also in my productions and things of that are meaningful to me, you know. And okay, so this was Okay, yeah, so this is an AR experience that makes use of expressions on people's faces. This was called Lamba because this is come around the period of one. I don't know if you guys know about this Lamba guy who lied a lot, who lies a lot, and he brings out some crazy stories and you know, and so so basically that was what the whole idea was about. So it's a video call experience, and the person on the other end is surprised by your lies and things of that sort, and with the expression on his or her face it shows like okay that you are the Lord of Lambert, King of Lies, and all like that, and it shows. So this is an AR experience right on SparkAR. Okay, so let's get to the pros and cons of SparkAR because you need to know what you're getting into. There are pros of using these softwares and there are cons. There are disadvantages of using SparkAR compared to other platforms. Understand? So the pro is like pros are like it's free and easy to use. It's a free software. That's one of the things that got me into because wait, come on, it's free. I don't just make use of it. It's free and it's easy to use. Very easy, very intuitive. It's like you just get the hang of it and you're good to go. So that means you can prototype your ideas very fast. You can prototype designs in a very fast pace. So you have access to wide audience. Like I said earlier, 3.5 billion people. That's no joke. That's very wide audience. So large amounts of documentation and tutorials. Yes, so many online tutorials from YouTube to the SparkAR official websites. Other people just create tutorials for people. Then there's also a vibrant community to get inspired from, especially on Facebook. There have Facebook groups that you can just pop into and you see the marvelous works that people are doing, and it's amazing that what people are doing in SparkAR. So yeah, for designers who dread coding, yeah, for someone like me, my background is actually more in the artistic aspect rather than the more technical aspect of things, and so I dread coding. Sometimes some personal learning C#. So, but till I'm really confident in C, like in being called in quotes a programmer. I like the fact that there's a patch editor, which is just a node-based editor that I can just plug in and put things here and there, and okay, I can easily get that logic in place. So it's good. So Spark AI also hosts competitions regularly, so there are lots of prizes to be won, which is a good pro. So the cons, which are very important. So the file size is limited to 4 MB, so which is a very, very big issue. So I'm guessing most of the time, I think because it's about things like latency on their end. They want the effects to run very fast on devices, so you don't want any lag and things like that. So there has to be a cap on how much you can actually do in terms of size, which is 4 MB, which isn't great, which isn't so good. So with that, you need to begin to learn how do I optimize my models, how do I create low poly models, my textures, how do I reduce the size of the texture. Sometimes it affects you because, okay, you're going to have to think of the quality of some of the textures you're going to use might not be so great if you're a very detailed person. Sometimes you have so many ideas and so many things you want to put in one thing, but but you just can't because you you're just constrained by that limit. So that's a big con. So also the AR isn't fully persistent. So persistence is when you place the digital object in the real world, right? You place it here and you move your phone a bit. You want that object to be in that same place, without you don't want any indication that has moved or anything. And Spark AR is still working on that. It's not very persistent yet. It's not bad. Like I said, it's not bad, but it could be better. Okay, there's also no location-based feature yet, meaning that you can actually theater your digital objects into to particular GPS locations. So for instance, you're in Keja, a particular place in Keja, you want this effect to really pop up at that Keja location, and when someone directs their phone, you can't do that with Spark. Yeah, though there was a Coachella event that happened this year, and they gave an API to a bunch of in-house creators to actually use the geolocation feature, which was very cool. And so there's a wait list which I joined and they haven't gotten back to us yet. But yeah, there's a wait list to get access to that geolocation API, and hopefully get that in time. There's all the full body track isn't so great. Yeah, at least there isn't good documentation about the full body tracking yet, right? Then some effects don't work well on some devices. Case in point, myself. Sometimes I create effects and my phone isn't just it doesn't work on my phone. It just keeps loading and keeps showing like this circular bar on my screen. And I have to meet a friend who has a higher spec phone to actually help me test this effect, So which isn't which isn't so great. Sometimes you don't want to be disturbing people up and down. You want to test them up. You want to see, the intricacies and see yourself, the things that you've done, because and that person actually can't know what you had in mind. So some things like that, but like I said, it's just some effects. Sometimes it's quite some effects won't work on like it doesn't work on my phone. So yeah, it requires a Facebook account to use the software, and effects can only be shared on platforms owned by Meta. So that means you can't, embed it on websites. So basically, all effects you're going to do are going to work on either Instagram or Facebook. You can't embed these AR effects on your personal website. Like I said, also I said it requires a Facebook account, meaning that for people who are like this, who are privacy enthusiasts, not what enthusiasts, but who are big on privacy and they see Facebook as like the second, like as the antichrist, um, that's like a con for them because like why can't I just use a software without having to log in to having to create a Facebook account, So that's that. Also, some effects only work on Instagram and not Facebook. Yes, so that's why most times when I test effect, I just test on Instagram directly and not Facebook. Yeah, so pros and cons of Spark. Yeah, I hope you guys. I hope the cons haven't. What's the word now? They haven't discouraged you because you need to know all this. You need to know all these things. But I believe the pros outweigh the cons. Okay, so getting to SparkAR, things you need are a working computer, which is like Windows or Mac. It's the SparkAR software, a smartphone, a SparkAR Player app. That was before. Now you necessarily don't need your SparkAR Player app because you can test directly without publishing yet. So you can test them now, then publish later. So you can now test on Instagram or Facebook without having to use this SparkAR Player app, right? So um, so 3D assets for Spark AR. So on the Spark AR interface, I'll show you later as we get into it. It's directly connected to Sketchfab, right? Since it's directly connected to Sketchfab, you can actually get 3D models from there. But if you're not, if you don't want those ones, if they don't satisfy you, you can actually get softwares from this website, CG Trader, Free 3D, Turbo Squid. Yes, for Spark AR, right? So you don't necessarily have to model these things yourself. You can just download from there for free and you begin to iterate and prototype your ideas, things of that sort. Then also graphical assets for Spark AR. So there's Canva, so you don't need to learn Photoshop. You can just go to Canva and just create some little bits of of graphical effects, graphical assets for yourself, like in no time. There's also FreePic. FreePic gets you like images, textures, things like you just quickly like cut out images that you might need and things of that sort. So yeah, FreePic is good for that. You know. Okay, so now we're getting to the meat of it, which is the SparkAR interface and demo. All right. So this is actually what we'll be creating. This is my friend Abimbola in the lab. Um, so this is basically us testing out this effect for Yahweh Africa. Yes, so this is what we'll be creating. And so the good thing about it, like it's like you can use this for like what's the word now? You can use this for brands, for branding, you want to make some money, I want to make some money. So yeah, you can use it like for brand awareness and things of that sort, and it's just good for things of that sort. So yeah. So I'll take you into the SparkAI interface. So All right. So I've opened up SparkAR, and the good thing about SparkAR is the templates. I personally start with working with templates. I like working from templates because I don't want to do something that's been done right before. I want to build on what has been done and make things better, So I start with templates. So this effect here that we have here is called, it's an image, it's a target tracking effect. Okay, before that, I didn't mention something. So in slide here, this slide here are actually it tells you three different types of experience you can create on different AR platforms, not just SparkAR, but let's just say SparkAR from here. So there are face filters, which makes effects on your face, right? And it creates edits and creates nice effects on your face. There are target tracking effects, right? Which was like an example of what I just showed you now, which is what we're going to create, where there's an image in the background and your phone is tracking a target or an image, and once it finds it, it pops up whatever thing you've created. It could be a 3D model, like 3D animation. It could even be like what's the word now? Like let's say you created let's say like a 2D animated clip thingy, right? Like how do I explain it? Like okay, I think I'll look see if I can find an example for you guys. Then there's also plane tracking effect. Plane tracking effect just means that you're placing your 3D object, right, on a plane, which is like a table, it could be the floor, it could be even the wall. And now it just needs to detect a plane and places the object there, right? So back to this. So there are different templates you can actually start from. So this is the template for plane tracking, which is called the real scale world object rather. There are also different effects for different templates for like face filters. There's so many I can start with. But for target tracking, that will be the 3D animated poster. And all you have to do is just, click on it. And voila, you are good to go. You can begin to start from here. So like for instance, now like if you actually printed this graphic element, you printed this poster on like a sheet of paper, and you published this particular effect, right? This is what's going to pop up, right? This all is it rhomboid, right? Or whatever it's called, 3D object animated. This is what I think are going to pop up, right? And they will actually, that's what it's going to pop up basically. So let me talk about the interface of SparkAR. So um, here is our scene view. Sorry, not us. This is our viewport rather. This is where everything that we're doing happens. This is basically where everything happens. So in on the extreme on the right on the left here rather, we have our assets panel. Now, our asset panel is where we bring in objects or assets that we want to make use of from. I want to make use of in our effect, right? So they could be 3D models, they could be pictures, they could be textures, they could be animations, different things. All we need to do is import here. So there are two ways of importing. You could just come here, right, and import, and from computer, right, and just select whatever you want, right? But for me, most times what I like to do, I just like to drag and drop. Yes. So I just really like to drag and drop my things into, you know, all right. So basically, I could just drag and drop this image here. And so this image, I'll drag and drop it now. It's an asset. So it's an asset. That doesn't mean it's in our scene yet. You understand? It's just, we are just saying that, okay, we want to make use of this asset for our project, but I'm not using it at the moment, right? So on our scene tab here, our scene tab is an objects are arranged in hierarchical order, right? And so, um, what happens in our scene view is that we drag and drop. Okay, so let's see what can I do here? Let me see what I do. Okay, so this is an AI library from SparkAR. So if I guess it's like 3D objects, and let me see. Let me just do something really basic and bring it here. Oh, since we have this already. Okay, let's bring the capsule, right? And import free, right? So voila. So now we've imported the capsule into our assets panel, but you can see the capsule isn't here, isn't anywhere in our scene. So what you need to do is that you need to drag this capsule into your scene panel, right? So now it's in. Where are you? Drag it better instead. So now, like I said, there are things called hierarchies whereby we have parents and children in what do you call it, on our scene view, on our scene panel. So what that does is that anything that happens to the parents, okay, so this here is called the target tracker, right? Which is actually this image here. So this target tracker is tracking this image here. So this is the texture, right? So this target tracker is tracking this image here, so it's a parent of this thing called of these 3D models here. So right, so if we moved this target tracker, right, this whole thing moves with it. But you can see if you move this object, this doesn't target tracker doesn't move with it. So there's this hierarchy of parents and child. So these 3D models are children of the target tracker object. You understand? So basically, that's that for the sim panel, right? Then we have here what you call your simulator. So your simulator is just a mini smartphone screen. That's basically what it is. So it's just kind of trying to show you, okay, this is what you're going to see on your screen, right? And most times, when you want to probably test like face filter effects, you understand, you can just turn on the simulator and you know turn on. As if I'm not showing. Okay, yeah, just not showing. Okay, so my face isn't showing because I'm using the camera of yeah, which I'm using to stream right now, so it's not showing. So it can only work when if I'm not streaming from there. But basically, just on here and your face shows, right? So then we have what you call your patch editor. Yes, so this is your patch editor. Your patch editor is actually where you make patches, which are just logics of okay, I want something to happen. If this is what's happening here, I want that to happen here. Or you want to extract like things from your textures, you want to extract just the RGB or the R or the red instead of the blue, the green. Different things like your patch editor is just good for that instead of writing scripts for that. Yeah, then we have here your properties bar, which is a very important bar. You understand? Once you select objects, right, it gives you the properties of that object, right? So you can scale from here. Um, from here, you scale this object here, right? Um, you could rotate, you could move from here, but most times, what I want to do is, if I want to move, I just come here and I just move objects this way, right? Or rotate here, then I could scale here, right? So basically, like I said, it's very simple, very intuitive. Once you get the angle of it, you just, oh wow, I never knew it was so simple. So yeah, we will now begin to create the AR experience. All right, so, and like I said, since this is a template, I want you guys to just read some things that I have here, because since you're just starting, it's nice also just just read these things, and you see how also simple they've made it for anyone who just wants to just get into it and prototype ideas, and build nice experiences for people. Just start here. So what we will do is we will import this 3D model. Just go back by AR. I think right, and we drag and drop it. Let me delete this capsule because I actually don't need this for anything. Right. So right here. Okay, so the first things first, right? We're creating a target tracker effect. We want to track a particular image, which is this, right? So what we need to do is that we need to come and select your target tracker. As I said, your properties bar is a very important part because this is where you make changes to things. Now, in your properties bar, you can see that there's a texture here attached to this target tracker. So this texture tells your phone or the effect that, okay, if you find this image, which is this image here, if it finds this image, I want this thing to pop up. But remember, what we want is that we actually want this image to be the one that our effect is tracking. So the very simple thing we just going to do, just come here and change the texture from this to what's the image? This is image one. Okay, to this. And voila, it's changed. So the next thing we'll do is what is the object you want? What is the action you want to happen when your once the image has been tracked? What is that action? What is the thing you want to do? And what we want as our action is actually that 3D model of that person popping up, that sort. So what we'll do is so this one says deleting, which is actually this one's, and we just delete it. And it says drag here. It said it's very intuitive. It's telling me what to do as you're starting. So you're going to drag this Africa your 3D model basically, right, into here. So we have this. All right, so we can see this 3D model of Africa. We want it to line up with this part of the logo that we have here. So, like I said, we want things to be persistent. So what we do is we just simply rotate it by, I think by -90. So we just rotate from here -90, and we'll scale it down. All right. So I could change my view to orthogonal projection. Let's see, front. So this way, it's everything is like stack on. So let's move this here and let's scale it again. All right, so we have this. So it doesn't have to necessarily be perfect, but yeah, we're good to go now. So let me go back to perspective view. So I pressed an F on my keyboard to just focus on the object I selected. So if you just, I'm far away and, and I just select this. Just take this and set on. What is this thing doing here? Anyway, so we have this now. So, but where's our animation? We had a guy popping out of here, and we want that very nice effect. We just don't want this thing to just pop up. We want that animation that I was showing up. So the person that did this model was Abim Bola. Bola was the guy who was in that video, was helping me test out. But I did it 3D modeling and the animation. Amazing guy. So yes, so what he did was he had done the animation. So if you actually look at this down panel, this drop down, you can see that this is the model itself. While this is the animation that came, this is the animation data that came from Blender was once when he created it. So what we need to do is that we need to create what we call an animation play, an animation playback, right? So right click here and playback controller, right? And animation playback controller. So you can name it whatever you want to do. Let's just call it and move or whatever, whatever you want to call it. So now it requires an animation clip, right? So what we do is we just go to drop down and SparkAR looks for all your animation and all your animation data as assets, and it finds that it's just one that you have, which is human animation, and just select it, right? We are not done yet, but let's just look at some of the things that we have here. So we have the play, the loop, the speed. So basically, play means that your animation should play. Basically, if your effect starts, if you don't tick this, your animation won't play. Your loop means that you want it to keep playing once one cycle is over, right? So once it's done with one cycle, you want it to continue. If it stops, if you don't turn on the loop, it just animates once and just stops there, finish, and that's all. You don't get more than that. Your speed, determines the speed of how much you want to determines the speed of what's this thing called? Yeah, it determines the speed of the animation. You want it to go fast or slow. You guys. But we've done the animation clip and yet the animation isn't popping up. Like, where are you? So what you need to do now is you come to this model we created and give this and asks for an animation, right? So no controller selected. So you just click on it and voila. And we have this guy. So we're not done. It's quite bare bone. It's just the texture isn't right, the color isn't right a bit. So it's like it wants it to have textures on the body and all like that. So let me pause it here, right? And what we want to do now is we want to give this guy, this fine boy here, we want to give him a texture. So what we could do is come here and import texture files which are downloaded already. So you can just drag select and voila. So it imports all of them into the file to your project. So you could so let's click on it. So once you click on this drop down, it shows that there are two separate 3D models, which is the human, right, and the Africa symbol and the Africa map model here. So what we want to is we want to go into this human, and when you select on the human, you can see these are different materials it has. So you have this first material, which is like the body material. We have the headset rim, which is this black part of the model that we have here, right? We also have the headset side, which is one part, and like that. So these are the materials that are associated with this model. So what we then do is we will double click on this material, right? And we just choose a texture for it. Let's see. Okay. All right. So what's going on here? Like what's going on here? Good, So the issue is your base color, right? Which is this. So we have a base color here. So what we want to do is we want to change it from this brownish color to white. All right. And now we have what we want. So now we just play with whatever texture we feel comfortable with. I'll leave it to you guys when you're practicing to just, show what you want to make use of. So from here, you could play with things like the tiling, let's say three, let's say two. Like I said, we're just having fun, just seeing whatever works, you're not being super specific about things. Ah, this is crazy. No, let's do this instead. Okay, I think it was better at two. Okay, let's do this. Oh, let's let's change texture here. All right. So you can see just you could play with the different you could play with the materials here. So now under the materials, there are different types of materials. There's a standard, which is by default. There's a flat. There's physically based. There's a face paint. So by default you have a standard, right? And after the standard, there's a physically based. So let's just go to physically based. Okay, so you can see, so with physically based, you can see that you get some shines, like to play with things like roughness. So the metallic just means making it look metallic. Roughness is just talking about how reflective it is to light. So yeah, you could play with things with that. So, but I think I prefer it as standard. But I'll show you flat. So So what flat is that flat is used for flat is used for um, UI elements. Basically, yeah, flat is for UI elements, things that you don't want light to affect. That you just want to be as clear and as constant as. So I'll give you an instance. Let me just create a spotlight. All right. So this is spotlight here, and let me rotate it a bit and drag it. Then let me change the color to something more stable. All right. So now you can see that all the other textures, all the other materials are actually reflecting this light of the color that we have here, but the body isn't, right? And that's because it's a flat material. It doesn't reflect. It doesn't reflect light. So yeah. So what we'll do is we just let's into standard. Let's come back here. So now you can see that it now begins to reflect that light that's there. So, but I might decide that probably I want this, what's this thing called? I want for the like called again for the face of the headset. I want it to shine. I want it to be more reflective. So I could then come here now and select this one. But so there's something about Spark which is good also. So this, okay, I'll show you something so I can you can see the difference between two materials. So like I was saying, these two materials are different, right? They are two different materials, but for instance, let's say I actually want them to have the same properties. I want them to be both white. I want them to shine the same way. I want everything about them to be the same. I don't want to keep going back and going back and changing and copying values from the first material to the second material. So what I could easily do is I could come, you know, into the where are you? Okay, so I could come into sorry. Okay, this is inside the standard. Okay. Okay, yeah, so these are two of them. So asset inside and asset front, right? We have these two. So I could shift and select the second one, right? So Now all I have to do is, since I've selected both of them at the same time, I can now begin to adjust their materials and their properties, and it affects both of them at the same time. So I want them back at white. Understand? So you can see whatever happens to it affects everything. Right? I want them back as white. But I also want them as physically based. Right. So but then it feels like it's shining too much to me. So what I could is I could add the rough, I could, you know, roughness a bit more. Yes. So just playing around it with it, what else again? Yeah, I think that's what I'll do to it for now. Right. So with this, we are good to go to export. So now we can begin to test. We can begin to test the the effect. So let me save first, and yeah, and so there are like I was talking about testing your effect. So at times you want to test your effects, you don't want to publish it. So like I said, yeah, there's testing and there's publishing, right? How do you how do you test your effects? So what you could do is you could send the effect to Facebook or Instagram. So and the good thing about this is that it's there's once you click on test, it sends you a preview link which expires in some days. So what's good is that probably you are working for a client, right? And how sometimes clients could be and they want to pay up and things like that. As long as you give them the preview link, they have the full experience, all right, but it's not published. So it can easily just it goes down in a few days, and it's going like that. So even if they don't pay you, at least you you know you're not out there, not that you, but you both know that in the end it won't work until I get commercial payments, which will now make me publish your effect. So what you could do also to test is go to here. It's called your test on device, right? You come here and you can send. So what it does is that it begins to export to Instagram. So it exports to your own personal Instagram account, which is connected to your Facebook account, right? Which is to like create your or log into SparkAR. So we'll just wait for this a bit. Then let me show you guys something. So this is the patch editor. If you come to the view here, there's also what you call your asset summary. So your asset summary here tells you or shows you gives you a summary of your assets basically. So remember when I talked about 4 MB being the limit. So you are limited to 4 MB. So since it's 3.4, it's within that range of things that what's it called? It's within the range of it's in the limit. But basically, the access from just tells you, okay, these are the list of things you have. If, for instance, it short of like 6 MB, I wonder, okay, which of these assets are actually is what's bloating my project, and it could just come here, right, and probably find it in my Reviewing Explorer, right? And it pops up in my File Explorer, and I could edit that particular image, plug in Paint, and reduce texture. The okay, for instance, I could come here and write sugar properties. Where are you? Okay, open with Paint. All right, very. You want to go very small, and where are you? Here resize, and the percentage you could just change. Okay, 60%, and you change that to okay, and if you Ctrl S, it changes the file size, and automatically updates it's calculating here, updates for you. So things of that sort. Or you could decide that, okay, probably there's some assets I don't need again. There's some assets I don't need again. So it tells you 7 unused assets, right? You click on it and, oh, these are all the assets. These are all these pictures I didn't use them. So remove. Yes, and delete. Right. So it deletes assets that you don't need again. And why this is important is because SparkAR calculates all your assets and puts them here. So it doesn't say that, oh, because this asset is not in your scene, it won't calculate it. No, it does. It calculates everything for you. So I don't know why it does that. But it calculates everything in your assets tab and puts it in your scene. So whether you're using it or not, it calculates it for you. So, oh yeah, so it's finished. Send a preview link to me on Instagram. So you can check your Instagram directly, right? In your your likes or notifications bar on Instagram. It shows you that, okay, come to test your preview link here. But also, if you want to share with someone, like I said, you have a client or a friend or whatever, this is a testing that you can copy, right? And you paste it to wherever you want to paste and send to wherever you want to send it. So we will test the effect now on my phone. So give me a few seconds. Let me check it out. All right. So, like I said, on your notification tab, right, pops up. All right. So basically, oh yeah. Okay. So now, so you notice something right from the bat. The the effect works, right? But you notice that what it tells you, the picture or that it tells you that it wants to track is different from the picture that it's actually tracking, right? And this will be fixed in the patch editor. So let's get back to the patch editor and let's get back here. So you also notice in the simulator here, right? You can see this particular image is not what you want, what you want to tell the viewers or your audience that they should track. It's actually this particular image here. So get back to the patch editor, right? And we come here, which is the bind target image icon and glint, and it tells you replace me. So what you simply do is the image that you want to track, you just drag and drop it here and delete this. So it's got what you delete is this thing doesn't pop up here again, right? So what you just do instead is you drag this into here and voila. Um, This is basically what you're going to do. So let's resend. Let's refresh this. All right, yes, it's sent. So let me check my side here. Okay, so let's check this out again. Uh-huh. So yeah, so we have our first effect on SparkAR. All right, so very simple, easy to easy to set up, and yeah. All right, so the next thing I'll teach you how to do is basically how to um, how to publish how to publish your effect, and it's very simple. It's also very straightforward, right? And I think that'll be the last thing I'll teach. So, so we have your test on device, right? Underneath the text is your publish. So you come under here and texture screen compressed. So the good thing about testing also is that with testing you can screen record because okay, because when you want to publish, I'll just show you. So upload. And, all right. So it brings you to your Spark AR hub. So basically, this is basically like your personal hub for Spark. That's it shows you, it gives you updates about your effects. Like how much have you? What are your metric counts? So this is basically for publishing, but your Spark AR hub in general gives you insights about okay, how well have your effects been doing so far. What it gives you metrics and things of that sort. But right now, this is just publishing right now. So if you want to publish the effect, let's just call it. Let's see. Okay, right. So yeah, so it tells you okay, what platforms do you want to publish your effects? There's some effects, like I said, I can only work on 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 Instagram, right? And there's some effects that can only work that can work on both of them. So like I think for some effects, I think from video call effects only work on Instagram. So for effects like that, you'll actually have to turn off like Facebook before it publishes it. You understand? But right now, I think I want them on both. Target tracking effect work on both. And also you can decide who's your audience. Do you want it to show on your Twitter, on your bio, on your Instagram bio? So basically, once you create an effect on Instagram, this thing pops up on your personal bio, and people can actually come here on your bio to actually, oh, look at, okay, what are your different effects you've done, and just check there. That's public. While link only means that not just anybody can view your effects. It doesn't pop up in your bio, right? So you have to share the link with people, kind of like how you do sometimes with like Google Drives or slides and things like that, right? So you just has the link and you share with people, and those are the people that can like have access to your effects, right? So the owner, that's me, platforms, blah blah. All right. So let's see. Is there anything else? Okay, so publish. Okay, so view link, right? So these are the links that you can now share with people. So this is the link for Instagram, and this is the link for Facebook. Either of those two, and just copy and paste and share with people. You know, and even if you close up this tab, if you get your share here, also it's the same thing, right? And here, and basically that's that, and you can begin to create your first AR experience. Using SparkAR. So let me see what else you can. All right, so that's that for the workshop. Like I said, it's very simple to create things on using SparkAR, right? So let me. Okay, yeah. So let me just give you guys like tips that you can actually that can actually help you out once creating the SparkAR. So like I said, watch out for your file size. Don't cram don't cram things with. And also, it's actually talking to me because I like detail in my work. Like, I like putting so many things and so like undertones and things that so like it it's kind of it constrains me to be quite minimal and just convey the idea like the simplest thing. So don't put too much abuse file, you know. So look for light models as assets. Um so like I said, abstract to the simplest element. Then also plan, before using Spark, yeah, just whenever I want to work, I think not just AI, but I think XR in general, there's this feeling that overwhelms me about like you are literally a god. Basically, that's what you are. You're basically a god. Like, and it becomes of what do you do as God? What can you create as God? And it's that dream that inspires you to actually know to like, okay, how do you then plan this thing? So just so dream first, dream about your ideas, dream about what you want to do first, and plan out. Then after dreaming, then like okay, I'll plan. Okay, how do I want this thing to come up? How do I want? How, do I want a target tracking effect? Do I want a plane tracking effect? What will work best? What are the pros and cons of those things? So I want will this thing be moving? Will this thing be static? Different things of that sort. Or do I want what gestures do I want? Do I want the person to smile first and something pops up? Or just then plan it out. Think just plan. Join Spark AR communities and get inspired by the work of others. It's very important. You can't know everything yourself. There's so much that people are doing that you just need to just see what others are doing to just inspire you. Watch tutorial videos. Watch so many tutorial videos. Then have good friends to just hype you. Yeah, yeah, hype you and test your effects and give you feedback. Like I said earlier, like about some effects that I created. I couldn't even test on my phone because if not for friends, I was just okay. Alpha, help me test this thing. Oh, well, that's cool. It works. Makes sense. Do this, do that, and they helped me out and they hyped me also and things of that sort. So have good friends. So, throughout for Spark AR, where you can actually get learning resources. So we have the Spark AR website. I think I'll speak to person so that I can share these slides with you guys. So all these things that actually have very good have access to those links. So basically, you have to sign up for Spark AR, which is Spark AR website. There's Spark curriculum. Then there's Eddie Adams. Oh my God, Eddie Adams is brilliant. Eddie Adams is wonderful. I basically I'll tell you a short story, very short. Eddie Adams was so that was last year when I started. I just started learning Spark last year, and I was into it and I was looking for tutorials and I just couldn't really get very like intensive and extensive, both intensive and extensive tutorials. And I came across Eddie Adams, and it's seriously just brilliant. And so how he did the payment plan was that you have to pay $200, and I didn't have $200. That $200, or you had to just create a short video saying that, okay, oh, I'm excited about this class, but posting your stories, or like, and tag him, and give you access to you grant you access to learning resources, you know. And so yes, and with that, I just got access to it, and it was just mind blowing. And Eddie Adams is so open that I was just like enter his DM. Mind you, I didn't pay a dime. I didn't pay anything, right? And it was so open that I'll just slide into Eddie's DM on Instagram. Eddie, please, I'm having this issue. Can you help me with this? What do you think I can do? I know, very open, very, very free with you, and just, okay, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, and he tells you. So Eddie's really brilliant. So he has a master class and has resources, And so let me just play a short video of Eddie, because Eddie is awesome, man. All right, so yeah, that's Eddie. So yeah, so basically, and also, yeah, YouTube. Yes. So um any questions? How do I access questions like this? Sharing. So yes. Okay, I think I'm done. Or I probably should just share this last slide, so you can. I'll just share my. I will share my contact details. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So this is me. Just you can follow. You can connect with me on Twitter and Instagram at Skodo-Lee, or you can even shoot me a mail at Osunkoya@gmail.com. I'm open to all collaborations, questions, thoughts, insights, what's the word, ideas, so many things. Yes, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for attending, and peace.